What superstars should enter the WWE transfer portal? I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, they have this transfer portal that was mentioned by, I guess, Chad Gable was kind of the first one to kind of bring it up a little bit.
Yep.
They talk about it. Superstars can go here. They can go there. They can go anywhere. You like that? A little rhyme there. So what superstars do we think kind of need a fresh restart?
Yeah.
They did the draft, or they do the draft, at times, and that feels like a fresh restart at times, but sometimes you got to revisit stuff down the road and say, this isn't really working out. Let's try this again here somewhere else.
Yeah, I love this idea. You do the draft after Mania. You go, half a year. You say, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? How do we fix that? Let's enter a draft thing. And all sports do it. A transfer portal, all trades, all that type of stuff. Why not wrestling? Mm-hmm. So let's get it done. Yeah. I went big to start.
You went big
big to start.
Okay.
How
big? How big is big?
A little story. When I was a kid, this guy on my chest, I was a big fan. John Cena. And I was going to go to my first ever wrestling event. It was coming to Kansas City. SmackDown, new WWE champion, just beat JBL. He was going to come, and I was going to go see my idol. And then he got drafted to Raw a night before they filmed SmackDown, because it used to be filmed on Tuesday nights. And I didn't get to see John Cena on SmackDown. And what they ended up doing was Batista showed up on SmackDown, and that was a huge trade. And we've seen nothing like it since. I think with Raw going to Netflix, this is the perfect time for Gunther and Cody to trade places. Cody to Raw, Gunther to SmackDown in the transfer portal.
Yeah, so I didn't have Gunther on my list, but you know who I did have? I had Cody Rhodes, and you can't really have one without the other because It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I also thought about it from the standpoint of, like, you want to bring people to Netflix.
Yep.
You want to make sure Netflix is a big deal. Who is bigger in WWE than Cody Rhodes right now that consistently shows up every single week? So I have Cody on my list as well. I don't see a problem with that. We see him talking backstage. I feel like they're planting all these big stars backstage. Like, there's going to be something big that would happen. I think for this being the first transfer portal that they've ever done, like, you could say the draft is a transfer portal, but this is the first transfer portal. You got to have something big happen for it to kind of mean something.
I completely agree. I mean, we're filming this a little bit early because I have a big vacation I'll be going on. So hopefully Cody still has the title at this point. He might drop it to KO, but that's the logic behind this, is that you would be trading your champions because you just can't do it the other way. You can't have two of the champions. I just think it would be an absolute big shakeup. And I think Gunther on SmackDown is a very interesting circumstance. He'd be surrounded by a lot of people that we have just never seen Gunther interact with. Mm-hmm. It could just be a very interesting thing. And that also can give people like LA Knight, who do feel trapped, like there's a ceiling above him because he can't be involved with the Cody Rhodes stuff. It feels like now all of a sudden you could give LA Knight that much deserved push that we've been waiting for forever in terms of the main title scene, and push him against Gunther. I mean, that type of feud would just be fantastic. So
yeah, you talk about people needing fresh starts and new beginnings and people that I haven't seen before. You just talked kind of about how LA Knight has a glass ceiling, or I guess he's kind of capped, I guess would be lack of a better term, on SmackDown. So if Cody does stay on SmackDown and we don't switch any of these champions, I need LA Knight to move over to the Raw side.
Okay.
I got to have him against Braun Breaker. I got to have that feud. I got to have them tear each other down. I got to have him and Ludwig Kaiser if Ludwig stays over there. I got to have him go after that. LA Knight could do basically kind of what he did on the U.S. title scene over with the IC title. He can have great matches, great feuds. Him and Sheamus could go at it. The promos back and forth there. That Raw roster is really, really deep. And you have a chance for him that he could go up against Gunther. If, like I said, if you don't switch him, you could have him potentially challenge, be that next guy for Gunther maybe. He seems like if Cody stays on SmackDown, that title scene is kind of locked up. There's nowhere for him to go. So you got to move LA Knight over to Netflix, have him have some fun on Monday Night Raw, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, we need to put him back in the bright lights, and there's going to be no brighter lights than when Netflix hits and Raw is on Netflix, and I just think that he's the megastar, and the megastar needs to go where the mega money is, and that is on Monday Night Raw. I think a feud with him and Braun Breaker would be fantastic. A feud with him and Jey Uso, if we get a proper long feud, not just a little run-in like we did a couple of months ago. The Yeats versus the Yeah, if you give them a long, good old feud, sign me the hell up for that. LA Knight to Raw would be fantastic. But more people to Raw that I need to see. We've talked about it. Send the Street Profits to Raw. Get them as far away from that disrespectful SmackDown tag team division. They have not given them the love that they deserve, and Raw desperately needs them in the tag division. Good Lord, we need them. The War Raiders are kind of, they're becoming a bright spot for the tag team division in Raw. It looks like this heel New Day is going to be something special. The heel New Day is going to need a compelling opponent, compelling rivalry, and I think the New Day, heel New Day versus the Street Profits, tag team championships, Raw, Netflix, that screams all-time tag team rivalry. I'm telling you, those guys would put on an absolute classic. Get them to Raw, get them the respect, and get them the titles.
Yeah, they would print money or feed families, however you want to, word that. I had them on my list before I go on to my next person. I think it's important to note that, at the time that we're recording this, they just got kind of screwed out of their tag title match against Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City and DIY looks like they're going to go at it for a while. Street Profits have always it's the same thing we just talked about with LA Knight. They get there and they can't break through for whatever reason. They don't want them to, I guess. Send them over to Raw. Raw needs those tag teams. They're going to put on great matches. They're fantastic. They're phenomenal. Sign me up. Like you said, the New Day versus them. Perfect. To go with them, I'm taking the wife of Montez Ford. I'm taking Bianca Belair. I'm sending her over to Raw.
I had that too.
Now, she might have to drop those tag titles. That's fine. She can drop them to whoever. I don't really care. My main thing here when I say this is I want Bianca Belair to feel important again. I want Bianca Belair to have some sort of resetting. You might say, well, there's Rhea and Io and Liv, and she can feud with all of them. I don't really care. I miss old Bianca Belair. I miss the singles Bianca Belair. I miss the important WrestleMania main event. I miss that. I want that back. I need it to be reset, and I need her to go over and kind of fresh start again.
Bianca is easily my favorite women's talent in all of wrestling, maybe in wrestling history. I think the absolute world of her. I was not that happy with her being put in the tag team division, but given what we eventually thought was going to happen with her and Jade, I was like, okay, I'll write it. Hopefully it'll be worth it, right? Hopefully they'll get Jade to the level when they feud. That'll be spectacular. Unfortunately, Jade's hurt. Now get Bianca as far away from the tag division as possible. Get her over to Netflix, get her over on Raw, and let's just do it, man. Let's run into Rhea, Bianca, WrestleMania. Give us the match. We don't need to always wait years to get these dream matches that we want to see. Let's just freaking do it. Lean into it. Pivot from Liv, Rhea, and let's get Bianca, give her the Rumble, and have Rhea win the title at Rumble from Liv, and then let's get Rhea, Bianca, maybe main eventing night one at WrestleMania. Give it to us.
Yeah, and to your point, we don't even, back in my day, they used to not wait for Mania for these things, right? You used to get them at random PLEs, random pay-per-views, random Mondays, random Fridays, random Thursdays, whatever night of the week. Do something like that. That Raw side, there's so many different people. You could even run her and Io back because her and Io had a great feud for the title. I just need to see that Bianca stuff. And in terms of the payoff for Jade at the, when all is said and done, people might say, well, she's not dropping those tag titles because Jade, blah, blah, blah. And they still have to feud it. That's so far down the line that for especially the immediate stuff, this is what I need to really care about Bianca because we're losing time.
Yep, 100%. I do have one big one that I personally really want to see for many reasons. Finn Balor to SmackDown. If he does not win the title at Saturday night main event, because we're filming this beforehand because of vacation, but Finn Balor, get him to SmackDown and make that the official separation of Judgment Day. Officially break down J-Day, make that 100% done, put him on a new brand. We saw a phenomenal repackage with Shinsuke Nakamura. Man, repackage Finn Balor sort of that way. Bring back his old music. Let's get some good good old Finn Balor back on the scene in SmackDown. You can have him feud with Shinsuke Nakamura for that matter. I mean, sign me the hell up. That sounds phenomenal. But I'm more. If you're gonna break up Judgment Day, we need more than just like saying it's over. We need separation, and I think this is the obvious choice, getting him over there.
Yeah, I didn't have him on my list actually, but it makes sense. I mean, I think people have kind of forgotten how good Finn used to be as a singles guy. He did just sign that new extension not too long ago, so you need something to kind of freshen it up. Put him on there and make him a star again. Like, sign me up. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make the first. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to talk about the first one from NXT. I'm doing my first.
I got a few.
I'm doing my first NXT.
Can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess.
Man, guy or girl?
Well, I have multiple, but we'll do men. We'll do a man for this one.
Trick.
I have him on here, but that's not the one I'm going to talk about right now.
Ethan Page.
I'm talking about Ethan Page.
I have him too.
I'm bringing him up. I'm bringing him over probably to SmackDown.
Yep, I agree.
I think that probably just kind of fits. Ethan Page has shown that he's a star in NXT.
Yep.
I think he was a star when he was in AEW. He just wasn't utilized correctly. He's shown he's amazing. I don't want to see him. A lot of times we talk about these NXT call-ups or transfer portals, as you want to talk about them now, and we're like, man, they missed the boat on so-and-so because they took too long to do it. I think you could bring him up, slide him into SmackDown, put him into the U.S. title scene, and he's fantastic. He shows that he's right up there. Mike's skills with some of the best that they have.
Yes.
In ring, he's phenomenal. He just is fantastic.
He would be a much-needed mid-card promo for SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
He really
Especially
would.
if they move LA Knight to Raw.
A much needed, and even if they don't move LA Knight to Raw, LA Knight would be a great feud for Ethan Page, man. Yep. Holy, I mean, give him the ball.
You can plug and play Ethan Page with pretty much almost anybody on there.
Yeah, I mean, to continue just on the NXT call-ups here, because they are part of these transfers, Roxanne Perez is ready. There are a lot of people that would probably choose a lot of women before Roxanne, but I just think she's carried that title for so long. I think she is really the definition of done it all in NXT. Like, I don't think there's movement for her up. Like, her story is told. It's time to move her up. What I would love for my thing would be, I would absolutely love her to coincide with an Alexa Bliss return. You get kind of the two small women, they're kind of known for being they're both very little, and then you just shoot them into the tag title scene. So you just immediately plug them in there, give them title belts, the tag title belts. I just think that would be a match in heaven, man.
Yeah, I have her on my list. I also have Trick Williams on my list. I have them kind of combined. I have them in a sense of once they lose those titles down in NXT, which I believe is at New Year's Evil or whatever it is that they call it.
Yeah.
I think at that point you can kind of have them lose them there, and then they're open to go wherever. Both of them, I feel like they've kind of reached. They're going as high or as far as they can go in NXT, and if you don't do it now, especially Roxanne, she's been there for what feels like forever.
Trick is a future like Hall of Famer in my opinion. I think he has like all-time talent levels. And I think that it is absolutely time. And I kind of packaged him in my transfers because I want Trick to come up to Raw and I want Carmelo Hayes to come over to Raw.
I have Carmelo Hayes on my list.
And that needs to be the feud. Mm-hmm. That needs to be Trick's first feud. Introduce the crowd who don't watch NXT to that. Both those guys will be coming out of that feud as like immediate, please put me in the mid-card title scene picture. It would be absolutely fantastic. That just feels like a must on the main card.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever that call-up transfer portal does happen, that is going to be that. I feel like you got to do it somewhat soonish because if you wait too long again, it's like, we missed the boat. Like the people that really would be invested in it, especially those ones right away that could help maybe carry the ones that don't know about it. Maybe they don't care as much if you continue to kind of keep waiting. How many more do you have?
I got one big one that I want to see. Not one. I don't say big one. I mean multiple. It's a faction.
Okay.
I have a faction. I'll go ahead and say
you go to that one, and then I got three more after that.
I think we saw a little bit of it already. I want American Made to SmackDown, and I want them on SmackDown mostly because I think every Raw faction is falling apart. I think the faction scene on Raw is really disintegrating in front of our eyes. And I think that they're American made and they should be chasing the U.S. titles. it just writes itself. You send them over to SmackDown. You have Chad Gable chase the U.S. title. You have Ivy Nile chase the U.S. title. They're American made. That story writes itself right there. Plus, if you're going to do faction versus faction, I don't think that they should do this. But like, if you're going to have Bloodline get involved, that's a completely new set of people for Bloodline to mess with. Like, that's a completely new set of humans, a new situation, new scenario that we've never seen. I just think it'd fit very well.
Yeah, I had them on my list. I feel like they've kind of reached not like the ceiling on Raw they can reach, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's freshen it up is kind of my thought. And like you said, they need to chase those U.S. titles. It just makes sense.
Lady Liberty.
I've got, I guess, 4 more. One that I'm going to add right off the top of my head here.
Man, this dude wrote them.
I wrote a bunch down. So along the faction side of things, I think Legado del Fantasma, or Phantasma, however you want to say it, I guess. I have them going from SmackDown to NXT. Just something to spice things up again. They did really well when they were in NXT.
I think with this like recent, like Santos Escobar is showing a little bit of character. And if he goes back down to NXT, you could probably refine him to the point where he's looking pretty good.
Yeah,
again.
and you have Elektra Lopez down there.
Yeah.
She could go on there with the women's division down there. I just feel like on SmackDown they haven't really done anything. So if you're gonna do something, that's maybe one of the ones that's like, you know, I don't know how many of these they're gonna do, but let's say it's like the 6th round of it, and you're like, oh yeah, they can go down there, you know, whatever.
I do have one more. I want to send Raquel Rodriguez to AEW. Chill out. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Along another faction, I put LWO to SmackDown. I don't really care, but
Rey Mysterio SmackDown.
Yeah, LWO. That was kind of my thought, I guess. And you could have Zelina maybe help kind of fight for that U.S. title. I don't know. They've done nothing with them on Raw again, so it's kind of like the whole thing for the transfer portal. Yeah, you're going to get some big names going. You can at least freshen some things up. I'm tired of them coming out every Monday night, not really doing anything.
Dragon Lee and Ray would fit in pretty well with the tag divisions there. They could put on shows with Motor City Machine Guns. Ray versus them would be fantastic, and Dragon Lee obviously.
Yeah, and then I've got 2 more. I've got one is a tag team that I just thought of on the spot. You've got Otis and Tozawa.
Do something. NXT.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. You can put them down to NXT, and they could be fun. They have that humorous kind of role as well now. Like, but they can go in the ring. I'd like to see them get a little bit more ring time, so put them down there. We were big fans of them, especially when Gable left. Like, this is their chance. Nothing's happened.
Nothing.
And then I have one female competitor left. I'm saying Bayley. I guess move her to Raw. I just think in terms of Bayley, like, I don't know what it is, because I don't know what you do, I guess I should say, because you either you keep her on SmackDown and she kind of flounders away and she's just kind of another person there. She doesn't feel important. I don't know if she'd feel important on Raw. I don't know if she'd feel important in NXT. I don't know if she would feel important on any of the shows, but something I feel like has got to kind of, you got to do something.
Yeah, I don't know where you would transfer her. I think you transfer her to the injury reserve list for a little bit and
you
just
repackage her for a little bit.
That's just kind of Bayley's thing. She we love her to death. We're big Bayley fans, but like it feels like she does a lot better after like a big comeback after being gone for a while, and then she has like a good like 6 months of keeping our interest, and then it just kind of gets repetitive again, and we fall out of love with her. So she's great taken in spurts. It's like I like her for 6 months, and then I'm like, and then 6 months, and
yeah. Well, and especially like if you think about it, like the women's division is about to get a lot more clouded, I think, because you have the return of Charlotte Flair that's kind of impending. You've got the return of Asuka whenever that happens. You've got potentially Becky Lynch whenever that does happen as well. And Alexa Bliss.
And you have this freaking incredible NXT women's roster that eventually is going to just beg for call-ups to happen because it's the greatest women's roster to me in all of wrestling right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So they're coming for jobs.
For me, you got to do something with her. I've already kind of fallen out of love with Bayley. Like it's just kind of like, and so if you're gonna try it again, you might as well give it another shot. Also, I guess you might transfer, one member each of PFC to every show, and they can win the main title. You can have Zoe Stark win the NXT title, Shayna Baszler can win the SmackDown title, Sonya Deville can win the Raw title. And they just run, and collectively WWE changes their name to PFC, and of course it's all been written.
Hear me out. PFC wins the Royal Rumble, all of them at one time. Oh my God! Well, the transfer portal is coming on right now. I think they still haven't really talked about what the logistics are in it, but it seems to be something that's happening as we speak. Before Netflix is coming around, so transfers should be coming and it should be fun. But let us know in the comments who you want to see go where. We want to see all your scenarios. It'll be fun stuff. It's fantasy booking. Have fun with it, man.
Yeah.
But follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Come watch our live streams, Raw, SmackDown, PLEs with us, twitch.com/COD WrestlePod. I think it's above my head. And if you're going to come talk to us, Linktree in our bio has all of our links to all of our socials. Follow all of them. Come talk to us in our Discord. Comment on all of our stuff. We love talking to you guys in the comment sections. It's fun. Thank you for the support. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.